Time for a picnic basket. Or whatever. How you doing? I am 3+Kei. And I'm here to encourage you to simply prioritize the Lord, your physical health, and persistent education. This space right here, this live stream, this 7 p.m. live stream is called The Secret Heart Club. And there is a little jingle that goes along with it. And it's really fun. It goes like this. Welcome to the Secret Heart Club. Everyone does our part to bring love, be loved. Hey, we love Jesus at the Secret Heart Club. I heard today from Boston, and there's like a few OG members of the Secret Heart Club that I just kind of recognize by name, and then other members kind of know of them, and we want to make sure we're supporting one another. And Boston is a 13-year-old that collects cards, like baseball or like basketball cards, and has a YouTube channel about his basketball collection. And just so you know, if you want to subscribe to his channel and support him, it is at Boston Sports Cards. Anyway, Boston just moved from Boston to like Delaware or Philadelphia or something. So he hasn't been recording or like putting out videos at all. And today he put out a video, or yesterday, some point. So I just want to say shout out to Boston. He's back at it. You know, he's kind of like doing his thing. I thought somebody. Yeah, and today was good. I did some. I drove some people for Uber. And I don't know how people feel about this. Maybe people feel it's wrong or whatever. But I'll tell you what happened. I took a $3.50 order from McDonald's to another location, and there was a note attached to call my 14-year-old my 14-year-old daughter on your way there. And for one thing, I don't talk on my phone or use my phone while I'm driving. So that now means that I have to wait till I get there or pull over prior to getting there, which is time lost, right? And if you don't do Uber or DoorDash or anything, you're probably like, what's the big deal? And it's just like, if the goal is to make money, your time equates to money. So time lost is literally money lost, right? And people ask for like little favors, but they don't compensate you for the favor. So for instance, like 2 people now have said, hey, can you just make a stop and I'll tip you on the app? And I did it, and both times they absolutely did not. And so while I'm waiting for them at the location, at the separate location, while I'm waiting for them to do whatever gas station, that is time where another order, because I'm on one, another order isn't coming in, right? And let's say that next order was going to be like $15 or whatever. That's $15 I don't have spending time with you, who's not compensating me. So anyway, I get there and the kid's not there, and I ring the doorbell. And I was also explaining through the app, we use a third-party app. I don't know if you guys seen in the news about people being upset with their Uber or their DoorDash and like tracking them down, or right, Uber or DoorDash people tracking customers down. Because of this, there's safety measures in place, and one of them is like a third-party calling system. So if you put down an additional number for me to call, I'm not calling you from my personal phone. for what, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know you. There's no reason for you to now have my personal information. So I was explaining that to the lady, like, if your 14-year-old, like your 14-year-old is old enough to be standing at the door when it rings. Anyway, I stood there. You have 8 minutes to collect your order. Rang the doorbell. I'm standing there in the heat, and literally with like 3 seconds left, because you have like 8 minutes. At the end of the 8 minutes, you just leave and you get paid for all of it. You get to keep the tip. You get to keep everything. Literally with like 3 seconds left, the kid comes from like down the street. And I mean, on the right day, right? That's like something that would upset me. But in my heart of hearts, I did a lot to like not complete that order so I could eat that food too. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. Be clear on that, right? Like, I don't have to call you. I don't have to like, or call you from a separate phone number or whatever. I don't have to do any of that. I rang the doorbell. She was like, go look for the kid. I was like, I don't have to go look for the kid. I'm going to come to the address that you sent it to. And then I'm going to wait my 8 minutes. And then I'm going to leave and not feel bad about it. But in my heart of hearts, I was hoping that would happen so I could eat the food. That's what I'm saying. That's the like honesty of it. So and we do that kind of in life, right? Like, even if we're not wrong, it's the heart posture toward it. Like, I was hoping it would kind of go wrong so I could eat those chicken nuggets up. Do you know what I mean? Like, I did go outside. She was like, go out, the teenagers outside. So I went like, quote unquote, outside right there. Yeah, I don't know. Tricky situation. Secret Heart Club. Hey, Allison. But yeah, I think it's an interesting topic and the way of like our heart postures, right? Totally didn't do anything wrong. The other day, actually, too, a woman had me deliver to one address 2 pizzas and some Parmesan bites. I showed up to that address. A woman answered the door, said, I absolutely did not order anything. And then another message came in that was like, hey, I'm actually like down the street. I'll meet you out front. And maybe if they had asked nicely or something else, but they didn't. They just told me where they were down the street. And it's like, again, I don't get compensated for that time. So I just said, like, I'm going to wait at this house if you want to make your way over to this house. And then they didn't. And I dropped the pizzas off at Ben's house and I ate the Parmesan bites. And like, I'm allowed to do that, right? Like, you as a consumer need to be responsible for like your delivery driver isn't like your servant to come find you and like do all this stuff. Like, we go to the address, we do the exchange, and then that's it. And the problem, which I am admitting, what I am confessing, is that I could have been nice, right? I could have gone out of my way. Like, that is a thing. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. I could have done that. I chose not to, not necessarily due to the principle of it, but because, baby, you just ordered this delicious food and I'm looking forward to eating it because I know you messed up. So I'm not going to help this situation at all. Again, nor do I have to. I'm just confessing that, guys. I don't know if that's even like a repentance thing, but I just want to highlight, like, sometimes we pass things off and we justify things, and it's like, no, I was really hoping I would get to eat your food. I was, you know. Allison says, oh man, I was poor, hungry, and homeless when I did Uber Eats. I was always thank you. Right. I was always wishing it went wrong. Right. Ben says he sure did enjoy it. Ben texted me and was like, I was just, when you pulled up with those pizzas, I was just wondering what I was going to eat tonight. You know, Allison said, I always did the nice stuff customers asked of me in hopes of a better tip. I need that money more than food. People don't, I don't know what the rest of the country is experiencing with with these types of gig jobs. What I've heard in Missoula, Montana, where I live, is that doing Uber Eats, Uber driving, people tip in general around 10% of the time. I am like very communicative, and I try to like throw a joke in there or something. So, and I honestly won't, if it's not worth my time, because I have a, we call it not a price. I have a goal, a money goal every day. So like, it has to be worth my time. I will say this, and this is what I'm saying. My money goal every day is $50. And doing Uber Eats itself, it takes me about 3 hours, 3.5 at the most, 3 hours to make $50. This is why I like working for tips, because recently I signed up for Uber driving, like driving people, and I didn't want to do it because I really don't, like, I know I seem friendly and you guys see me like food trucking and Jesus and Kiki King with people, but it's like, I hate to, like, some aspect of it is showmanship. Right? And when it comes down to it, like Ben will tell you, I don't really, like, you can't come to my house. People aren't allowed, I don't want people like around me. So let alone, respectfully, right? It's the nastiness. It's the nastiness for me. And then people don't even understand like how nasty they actually are. And it should be noted, there's a difference between messy and nasty. Messy's fine. Messy's human. But some people are just like straight up, and I'll not around here, baby. Anyway, that's why I didn't want to do people in my car, because I ain't on that type of time. And what I did do, I put a thing, like a big crate on the seat behind me. Because another thing is, you're not going to be sitting up here behind me. I don't play none of that. You need to be where I can see you, where I can touch you. You understand? Anyway, Uber driving, I started doing it. I made that $50. Honestly, the one, they tipped me, they were from out of town. They tipped me $50 to go to the gas station. They needed beer, but I was like, I'm on E. So like, I already needed to do this. They tipped me 40. They said they gave me $49 because that's all they had in their pockets. So really, I made that $50 mark like immediately. But usually with Uber driving, I wrapped it up. Outside of that tip, I wrapped up that $50. I started at like $4:30, wrapped it up by 6, so an hour and a half, $50. But I'll tell you this, like, I'm very good with like the rah-rah. I have a very good mouthpiece. I'm very like friendly and warm and this kind of thing. Like, I picked up an old guy and he was pissed. He was mad about his different situation. And by the end of it, I was like, hey, you give me a smile. And he was like, and then, you know what I mean? Like, I had one woman crying because I was like, oh, I'm a social worker. I hope she gets on here. I was like, I'm a social worker. And sometimes when I tell people that, they really like open up to like, you know what I mean? Like, they feel safe because I'm not going to tell anybody. Plus, I've heard like, what is they used to call it, like car backseat confessions or whatever. I've heard all this stuff. So like, I'm not here to judge you. And honestly, and it might be some of y'all, right? Like, sometimes you just need to like say it. You need to get something off your chest. And I've definitely had Uber drivers myself where, it's we got 45 minutes and it's like, this is what's bothering me, you know? So anyway, it occurred to me today that the driving is a good way to minister to people. I talked to a lady yesterday. We were talking about her faith walk and how the Lord has like kind of intercepted sin in her life and the graciousness of the Lord. You know what I mean? And it's like in a place, we live in a very liberal town. You know what I'm saying? And so you might not even get to have those types of conversations with people. And it was just impressed on me today that like the Uber driving is its own kind of like set of ministry. Do you know what I mean? When coupled with like the fact that I'm a Christian and a social worker at the same time, like people really, I think it's pretty cool. I really dig it. Allison said, "No, they don't tip well here. Some rich towns are better than others, like Hinsdale is a rich town, or around Naperville. Yup, people are dirty. Still waiting for your subscribe, dear. Love from all right. It's this. It's the here, let me Oop. The strap. The strap will kind of like rub on it. And I always forget. I try to be cute like the other YouTubers. I was thinking about that today. How I'm just like not a cute person. I'm not. And I remember my niece telling me, she's like, yeah, people like us, Auntie, we're really rough around the edges. And I remember looking at her like, I'm not rough around the edges. And that was a while ago because I thought about it after she said that. And I was like, yeah. Okay, we gonna keep this thing right here. We gonna keep it right here. It's right here. Okay. Somebody had asked like, what are your pronouns? And so what I was just saying is like, I'm never gonna be like, I think I was a little disrespectful about it. All right, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? I took the whole thing out. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I just went ahead and took the whole thing out. Um, yeah. You go ahead and guess. Oh, it's because it's on zero. That's my bad. Um, and then run with it. And then run with your guess. right? And here's what it's disrespectful, I know. Here's what an idiot would say. Well, I'll just call you a man. Okay, so number one, you're acknowledging that I am in fact a woman. And number two, go ahead and call me a man. And watch how like dumb you look. Do you know what I mean? I don't do all that. And so the point of me saying that is like, there's that question by Matt Walsh, like, what is a woman? And part of that question, right, is like, you know a woman when you see it or see her, and you know a man when you see, you know what I mean? And so let alone like transgender people like sometimes, right, you genuinely are like I don't know, and no disrespect, no nothing. Like I came across that there was a youth, and to this day I don't know if that was a girl or a boy because of maybe puberty had it kicked in, like the shape of this, you know what I mean? But those are rare it's so rare, like you genuinely are like, and even then, you know what we were taught growing up, right? Are you a boy or a girl? No. You're like, that person clearly has like more things kind of going on that would affect your self-esteem, I would imagine, if you were a woman and people couldn't tell, or if you were a man and people genuinely couldn't tell. I imagine that would hurt your own feelings. I imagine that, you know what I mean? And so anyway, my point being, I am a woman that doesn't wear makeup. I'm a woman that power lifts, right? You know, I'm a woman that any day of the week would prefer to be playing basketball than something else. That would be like my preference, right? I'm a woman who chose not to give birth to kids, right? And my point in saying that is like, I'm not like maybe like a average woman or a typical woman, but it doesn't take away my femininity. My femininity is still that, right? I'm still, I think one thing that makes a woman, or in the course of my life that's been disturbing, right, is like when a woman doesn't have maternal instincts, like none. You know, like you'll see women like me who prefer not to have children, but we're like aunties, right? Still maternal, but naturally, right? I think a thing that makes a woman is maternal instincts. And like my whole point is like, I'm not a cute person. I'm not a performative person. You know, sometimes I wear dresses, you know. Sometimes I wear mascara, but I forget a lot. You know, like sometimes, like today I have my hair back because I really don't care what's it gonna be? You know what I mean? Like, where am I? You know what I mean? Yeah. And my whole point is like, I'm not a person who I don't keep it cute. And by keep it cute, I mean like perform to like the way somebody thinks something should be, right? Like some of you guys watching might wear crosses. Some of you guys watching might wear like Christian, you know, to signal. I chose to get a large tattoo and continue to tattoo scripture. on my body, right? And someone might be like, blah, tattoos. And it's like, but don't you wear it? But you wear it so you can, and then you take it off, right? Like, I can't take off my announcement that I am Christ-side. And that doesn't make me better than anybody. That makes me like just not down with the performance. Does that make sense? People are so interesting that way. Like, you've got to like do it this way. I'll tell you, you guys know I'm buying a house, and so I was kind of like I was going through that process. I was at the bank today, and they're like showing me houses, and they're like, it's like this amount, like you can like, well, we're gonna approve you for like this amount. And so like, so we're looking at like 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom houses. And it's like, number one on my house list is a fence. Number one is a fence. Number two are at least 2 trees 15 feet apart so I could put my hammock up there. And number 3 is neighbors all the way over there. And then I only have those 3 things on my house list. And so finally, we're like scrolling through all these houses. And finally, I was like, listen, let me show you like the house I want. If you guys, those of you who are with Christ, if you wouldn't mind praying for me, I found what I want to be my house. And here's the kicker. It's a 1-bedroom house. Can I tell you the crazy part? It's on 10 acres. So like the front yard is its own, like, it looks like a campsite. Like somebody had like put little tree stumps like in a, you know what I mean? Like it looks crazy. And so anyway, I was telling her like, this is the house that I want. And they're trying to get me to do more. And that's what I'm saying, just in the way of like performance. It's like, oh, well, this is America. And like, we can give you this much. So of course you want like all house. And it's like, no, I want like no house or like little house, all land. I want to walk. This is going to be maybe TMI. I want to freely walk around naked on my property without any kind of concern about anything besides wildlife, I guess. That's performance. What are we doing? Like, what do you want to be like doing? You know what I mean? Allison said, I like that movie. What is a Woman? I didn't watch it only because there were like so many clips. I just watched the clips. And Allison says, we need our aunties. And it's funny because Casey, the 12-year-old, I always say, like, I'm trying to be a rich auntie. I'm not trying to like dilly-dally in your lives and like blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to be the one that like skirt when you're 16. And like, here's a car. Like, I'm trying to be that in your life. I'm not trying to like, I didn't come to play around, David Wade and Trooper said, you don't have to be a mother to have maternal instincts. No, not at all. Not at all. Because you have to think about, it's just like, I'm sure there's like science behind it, to be honest. Like I'll tell you this, for context, I'm a social worker. Where in the course of 15 years I have come across women that do not have maternal instincts, it has been all bad for their children. Their children typically get taken away. And I mean, I can say it because I'm maybe not in this field or like who cares anyway, but like I think it's like a form of like psychopathy. Like it's against our nature to not tell you what, next time you're in church and a baby cries, just kind of like look up. And what you're going to see is like women at least in the range of like 25 to maybe 45 collectively shift their it's a phenomenon. It's interesting. It's really collectively shift their focus toward the baby. It just is. Or it's kind of like no child is really ever alone because I actually literally don't go to beaches because it's too many too much for me actually to watch children like boosh and all this stuff going wrong and so many adults just like la 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 la. It's very stressful to me to be specifically at a beach with these dang on children. Allison says that's something God instilled in us. Exactly. Exactly. It's undeniable. And Allison says, no, you are better for sure than some. Yeah. And that's my whole thing. Like, maybe not, maybe don't pretend. And then I know there's kind of like consequences for it, right? Like I started this live stream being like, I dropped off some food and I was literally waiting for the time to run down so I could eat this 14-year-old girl's chicken nuggets. I said it. Is it right? No. Right? But our performance would be like, yeah, and then I showed up and she wasn't there and the mom told me I had to call her and look for her. I could have went that route. But really, I was like, dang, I hope this little girl isn't around so I could eat up these chicken and 2 apple pies. Get out of here. I was waiting. We didn't get to no kind of God's promise today, guys. This was a mess. Let's do it again. Let's kick it off on Sunday. I'm going out of town tomorrow. Tomorrow night it's going to be long. It's going to be so ratchet. It's going to be the Celtic Fest. And for some reason, the people I am going with are like excited. Asking if I'm finna dress up. Do I look like I'm gonna dress up for a Celtic? Again, performance. It's not me. I don't know where I would go where I would be like, oh, I need to be maybe like it's really not in me. Like I need to be in character for like this thing that's happening. I just laughed so hard at the nuggets too. This was the best part, right? Sometimes this is what makes this a community, right? Like the intention is good that we're gonna rock out with some good biblical to do, but every once in a while it goes a little left. Ben, I'll show up in my kilt. Bill, you show up in that kilt. You show up in that kilt. Like I support that. I support all of it. Another thing I don't do in the way of performance, when I love sushi. Like I'm trying to obviously watch my money right now, but left to my own devices, I have like a $200 a month sushi habit. It's bad. I love sushi. And I also live in Montana where there's not like, it ain't, you know what I mean? I'm not spending money on that. But when I eat sushi, do you know what I eat with? Everybody around me has the chopsticks out. everybody around me has the chopsticks out. I ain't doing it. I can use chopsticks, but I'm a ask, give me a fork. This is America. Why are we, you know what I mean? And it's the performance of it all. Because listen, if you went to Japan, yeah, a fork for sure. If you went to Japan and ordered like a noodle bowl, let's say you went to Japan and ordered a noodle bowl, from like Noodles and Company, but they have it in Japan. What are they eating the noodles bowls with? What are they eating the rice bowl with? They're eating it with chopsticks because they're in their own country and that's what they do as a country is eat with chopsticks. I'm not saying it's wrong to sit here in America and use chopsticks. I could use it. As a matter of fact, this is a silly fact about me. This is like a super dumb fact about me. Just so I can continue to use a fork eating my sushi, every once in a while, I'll eat with chopsticks. Just so I can make sure I'm not eating a fork because I don't know how to use the chopsticks. Isn't that dumb? It's like the performance of it all. And again, use your chopsticks if you want to. But for me, I think you guys just learn like more about like who I am in my core, right? Like in this episode, in this live stream, it's just that like I want to feel free to do what I want. If I want to clap, then I'm going to clap. But you know why I'm going to clap? Because the thing was good or exciting or entertaining. I'm not going to sit here and clap if the performance was mediocre. Why are we clapping? Or when people stand on their feet for like after somebody did a speech or something. You know, I was in there were so many signs living with this family in Georgia. I had stopped going to their church because it was, and just hear me out, it was a white and Asian church, and there was one older black couple. I showed up with this family, a white family, and the husband wasted no time. It was like my first or second time there. And he was like, you might feel more comfortable at this black church, which is East Point Church in Georgia, which I reference sometimes. And it's like, when I went to East Point, it was true, but more so because the people were like my age instead of like old elderly, you know what I mean? So fine. But I did go from time to time to hear. One time they had a speaker coming and I was like, he's going to be racist. Hear me out. Hear me out. I was like, the speaker's going to be, whatever he's going to tell people, it's going to be some racist stuff. So I looked at the guy. I looked him up to like see what, and the guy's black. He's not real. Hot take. He wasn't real black. He was like clearly mixed. Sorry, not sorry, but like you are who you are, right? Like my child is biracial, but that doesn't make her black or white. That makes her biracial. And so anyway, this guy, he was talking about critical race theory. And the reason, like, I knew it was going to be something racist. And I need you, for those of you who might have a context to critical race theory, I was at the prior, like a year before, I was pursuing an early childhood education degree. I got stopped because during my practicum working with the children, COVID happened. So I had to pivot into correctional studies, right? But I was planning on working with kids. And there's a lot of information regarding critical race theory, what the point of it is, why it exists, and how it shows up in education, right? It's also important to note that I am a conservative, okay? And so anyway, and so the way critical race theory has largely been marketed to conservatives is, again, like a brainwash. It's so, and the way that it plays out in the education system, just factually has been inaccurate. It just has been, right? And they're banking on using in regard to that particular subject, they were banking on conservative emotions and buzzwords. And in some cases, like an ill-informed conceptualization of what Christ wants. And so anyway, I already knew it was going to be some nonsense. So I go, and the guy, one of the things I remember him saying, we're not talking about critical race theory at all. He is talking to an all-white audience except for myself. And he's in the South. So if you know, too, that part. And he's saying, you guys are not racists. Don't listen to anybody, like they, the left, okay, will tell you you're racists and you're not. And my thing is, I'm going to use Allison because she was the last comment. Allison and I have known each other via the internet for maybe 6 months. Allison is white. Plot twist, I am black. I cannot say with 100% accuracy that Allison is not a racist. Allison, too, could not say with 100% accuracy that I am not a racist, right? So how can you deliver a message, conservative emotions, how can you deliver a message attempting to placate a group of people putting on, a label on them as you can't go into, you can't tell anybody they're not. You just met, you don't even know them. You haven't even met them. And it was like the absurdity of the situation. And I could see that it like really puffed people up and they were like, yeah, we're not racist. And it's like, maybe you are. I mean, you guys literally suggest, like, I'm the only black person here. And you literally suggested I go to a black church. Also, your small group, there's like a small group of color of Asians and black people. Like you literally led by your only Asian elder. Like that's like a literal, and I'm not saying anybody's racist or not. My point is the performative piece. So he finishes talking, and I want you to also, I want to like back this up too. This speaker, his comments were so inflammatory that the pastor himself was trying to ease up out of that. There's an essay called, oh gosh, it's about the backpack. It's like a backpack, and it's about being like a minority and kind of like the little microaggressions you deal with, right? And if anyone thinks minorities don't deal with microaggressions, come on here every day at 7 and watch it play out literally every night, right? And so I'm no victim, right? But you got to be a realist. And I think a lot of times conservatives, just like I think the left can be like really whiny, I also think the right can also be like so lacking of compassion and whiny about the fact that like people would like them to be, they would like us to be a little more compassionate, and like we're like whiny about that. What do you mean I gotta like respect people? What, bro? Anyway, you think I stood up and clapped for this idiot? Do you know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Just the performance of it all. And even if there were white people in the audience that like didn't agree with him, they still, you know, they still backed out of it. And honestly, shout out to that pastor who was like, oh, it was very, by the information he was citing, it was very clear he was trying to like backtrack out of that conversation. And I will say other things. I mean, this is beside the point, but the speaker was bringing up books that for like pro-black books, and cherry picking information from them. And then presenting like the inflammatory parts to the white audience to like, it was so crazy. But I ain't with it. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. That was like a long-winded way to just be like, I'm not pretending nothing. Maybe if you give me like enough money, keep it a buck. Keep it a buck. For the right price, maybe I would say a little bit of, I mean, depends on what you depends on what you want me to say, you know. But I have a kid on my caseload. Right now, I told my supervisor I cannot. This is the second time I've done that. The first is when they wanted me to find a transgender kid, a group home that matched what they were saying they were. I was like, that ain't, somebody gonna end up pregnant, and that's like, I don't want nothing. I'll quit. Actually, I did quit over that. And then I came back to the same, that's where I'm at now. I came back to the same organization. And right now there's not a similar situation at all, but there's another situation. And I was like, this might, I would quit over this. And I told my supervisor, I'm not participating. So some things, if you wanted me to put some clown shoes on, you know, Ronald McDonald, big red, goofy shoes, I ain't gonna hold you. Give me $50. Give me $50. And you gotta buy them? Yeah, I'll march. I'll get to big stepping down the street in my Ronald McDonald 2000s. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Everybody has a price. However, friends, remember Judas. What was it? Seven, whatever, denarii or whatever. Tokens, coins, however it was, Judas, you know, the performance of it all. I don't know. We'll probably rename this live stream the performance of it all. But the takeaway is I ain't with it. Don't ask me every time. And I hate this for me. But when people challenge me in a way on this live stream, like you should be doing or blah, 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 it really does piss me off. Because it's like, why? Like, think for yourself. And I'm going to tell you guys this right now. If you're a conservative, if you're with Christ, like, don't just sit up here and believe people and know that people will. That's how they got me at that one job. They paid me $10,000 more. And you know how they got me was like, oh, you could pray with the clients. You prayed and then they screwed me. You prayed. You were a predator on my Christ forwardness. You prayed on my faith. You used my faith to manipulate me, and that's what I want you guys to understand. People, watch out. Don't be. You know, and it sounds good and you know what I mean? Oh, they said Jesus, they said abortion, they said gay, whatever. They said 2A, they said freedom of speech. They said, and it's like sometimes yes, but sometimes no. And then conservatives, they'll have you out here. There's a whole movement. They're trying to convince everybody. I'm going to leave you guys with this. They're trying to convince everybody And I had to really like process it too. I'm gonna tell you in a second. But they're trying to convince everybody that women want to be at home and they want to be taken care of by a man. Even if there's no kids, like women want to be a stay-at-home wife. And like there's no any woman who's saying to the contrary, she's lying and blah, blah, blah. And they're really like pushing this narrative. So you have a lot of women kind of like playing into it. And so what I want to tell you is like, this is going to be shocking. This is going to shock you. Right? But like, I think it'd be cool to have a man to take care of. Y'all don't really know me, but I'm like a really loving person. And my kids are grown, so they don't want to be like loved on like that. I would love that, but there is truly nothing in me that wants to take care of you as if you were a child. Hot take. You know, I had a boyfriend. Shout out to Henry. I had a boyfriend, and fun fact, I do prefer to do the cleaning and the cooking because this is terrible. This is my own trauma, but I do it best. So you don't need to be doing that. However, I would get off at like 5 or 6, maybe, because of my job. When you're working with people get crazy if you stay up. And so he would come home at maybe like whatever time. But if I got off at 5, if I came home early, I always cooked. Always. No problemo. I prefer it. But if for some reason I was running late, dinner was ready when I came home. And there was no conversation. It was just like, duh, like you're not. And so the concept of like a man is like working and like you both are working and somehow it all, and you don't know, just as like a considerate person that, okay, I usually work an 8-hour shift and today I worked a 10-hour shift. I'm gonna be tired and hungry when I come home. You don't know as a considerate. Or like women who are like, oh, he leaves his socks all over the place. To me, that doesn't like compute. It's like, why would you, if she's telling you something is like irking her for like a minute, like she keeps telling, and you keep doing it because why? Because she can do it. So yeah, that's kind of my hang up. It's like women often allow men to become children, to be children. That's super common. I really hear that like more than anything. Just grown men that are making some money. I don't want to waste my time like that. I want to love you. I want to love you all the way down, forever and always, and have your back in every conceivable way. And that has nothing to do with having dinner on the table when you come home. That's like childish teenager stuff. Yeah, Allison says that's true. You teach people how to treat you. And so, yeah, this was a good conversation. Anyway, tomorrow we'll be at the Celtic Fest. It was really fun last year. I just never liked the nonsense. I don't think you guys have seen me deal with any kind of nonsense, but like, shut it down. I don't like any kind of like drunkenness. I don't like the, I mean, you could make an argument that I'm silly, but I'm not like drunken. I don't like drunken silly, and especially from like men. I like men to be men. That's biblical, right? That's like, no, I take that back. I take it back, but men should be like sober minded. Anyway, thanks guys. This was fun. We didn't talk about nothing we were supposed to be talking about, but that's okay. That happens every once in a while. And it's always a blast. Dear Christ, thank you. Thank you for a robust conversation today. I want to actually bring forth Lord Nicholas. His mom misses him. It's hard in parent, Lord, watching your children go wayward. But the magnificent thing is that you offer us peace in our hearts and a surety that the ways of this world will pass. As for our wayward kids, Lord, straighten them up. In Jesus' name, amen. I wish the Lord, now y'all know I don't believe in spanking. I don't believe in spanking. But it's like, if only the Lord would just... So, I worked with these kids once. It's these 3 brothers. Single mom, of course, like it's hard, right? 3 boys right in a row, like 5, 6, 7, or no, 4, 5, 6. And I remember my coworker, and for some reason, I'm gonna tell you how I got them straight. Everybody else had a problem with them, but the 5-year-old one day, this is like such an inappropriate story, but this is truly like how I am, kind of, and I shouldn't have done it, but it doesn't matter. I can't get fired now. I was getting all these kids together. I had like 18 kids to get inside from the playground. And if you know, like getting kids from the playground is difficult. And the 5-year-old of these brothers, 4, 5, and 6, the 5-year-old would not get in the line. And I'm like, his name was Caden. I was like, Caden, get in the line. And he stepped out of the line to tell me, I will slap you in your face. And here's the issue with me, y'all, and these kids today. There's an issue with these kids today. And I was like, his mom is going to come into my classroom and fight me. But he said, I will slap you in your face. A 5-year-old. A 5-year-old. And so I was holding, this is so messed up. I'm sorry. And I was saved and everything. I was holding a blind boy's hand, trying to lead the class in the classroom with the blind boy. But Caden thought he could step out and say, I will slap you in your face. And I let go of the blind boy's hand. And I stepped out of the line and I looked at him and I said, I wish you would. I will lose my job today. And he got back in line. I never had a problem with those boys again. As a matter of fact, I became the only one they would listen to. That wasn't right. Don't talk. If you have a job working with kids, don't talk to kids like that. But I didn't, sometimes you don't need that. You're not going to sit here as a child. Like nah, bro. And a lot of these times the kids, the issue with the parents is I don't believe we shouldn't be beating these kids in the classroom at all. But you do need to have some level of like, I wish you wouldn't-ness. Anyway, we got along fine. And actually, I still talk to the mom. Shout out to Portia. Still talk to them because they were going through a lot. She had a man up in that house. And, they would be like, yeah, when he's watching us, he just makes us stand in the backyard and there's no toys or anything. We just have to stand out there. And right, like, that's not child abuse to make a kid stand out there. But it's like, So anyway, that was That's because he probably hears it from a parent. Yeah. All right, guys. This is enough. This is the Secret Heart Club live stream. We live stream every night, no matter what. 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Sunday, we'll go back to God's promises. We were supposed to be talking about Isaiah. Somehow, Allison got to talking about how she was trying to steal a child's chicken nuggets. And I was like, Allison, no, don't talk about that. And then Ben was like, my pronouns are he, him. And I was like, we're not talking, we're doing too much, guys. Right? I tried to stop him. I'll talk to you guys later.